what would you kind of outline as like the best approach to hopefully landing a job at Southwest?
Go Google Southwest Careers, right? It's going to bring you to our careers page. We have a chance where you can do a webinar, meet recruiters, see what we're going to be posting in advance. You get to meet the actual sort of recruiter or even the hiring manager, learn about the departments and different things like that. From there, it really comes down to the resume. How can you communicate it to a recruiter? You only have essentially one piece of paper to sort of communicate to me. What are your experiences? But prior to that, the resume, there's a prerequisite, and that's reading the job description. I'm the one that is legitimately, I would put your resume on this big screen that I have. I would put the job description right here where you're at, and I'm just going to go look back and forth and try to figure out, hey, you have the skills that I'm looking for. After you get through the resume process, we're going to start looking at resumes, trying to figure out who to send to phone interviews or one-way interviews. Phone interview is going to be like a 15, 20-minute conversation, going through your resume, sort of wondering, hey, why do you want to work for Southwest? A one-way interview is going to be a little bit different, one where you sort of recorded yourself. So after that, you do the final interview. We're going to do sort of like this interview questions and then show up with questions, right? What is something that you want to learn? Intrigue. And one little thing that I'm big on is sending a follow-up, right? Whether that's connecting on LinkedIn and saying thank you, whether that's sending an email saying thank you, that sets people apart.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Custom Journeys podcast. My name is Andrew Baines. This podcast is all about spotlighting diverse STEM professionals and helping you all have a successful STEM career. I'm very excited to be joined today by Ezequiel Herrera. He is a recruiter at Southwest Airlines. We're going to be learning about what life is like at Southwest Airlines, what opportunities they currently have or may be coming up soon. And then also we're going to be reviewing some different resumes just to kind of give you guys some feedback on how you can improve your resume and then hopefully improve your chances of landing a job at Southwest Airlines. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know, the usual. Share this with somebody. I think it can do you guys some good and then hopefully help someone else as well. But with that being said, I'm excited to join Zeke. What's up, Ezekiel? How's it going, man?
What's up, Andrew? Thank you so much for allowing me to be on this podcast. I myself is so honored, and Southwest is too.
I appreciate that, man. No, I saw a LinkedIn post you did like maybe about a month ago now. And I was like, yo, it seemed let's start, the LinkedIn stalking routine that I do, started scrolling and seeing like, hey, what are they up to? And I was like, yeah, I gotta get you on here. And then recently I saw y'all had a lot of promotions coming out about this neurodiversity internship opportunity. The opportunity will probably be closed by the time this episode comes out, but I mean, it just kind of shows the initiative that you guys are taking. So I would love to kind of, talk about all that, Southwest everything. And I'm a Southwest customer, so I'm excited to kind of learn more about what you guys got going on.
Hey, I appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
All right, man. Well, hey, let's start with I know we just kind of talked about briefly the neurodiversity initiative program that you guys have coming up for the internships. I know you had like software engineering, maybe cybersecurity as well. But what kind of sparked this initiative to like start this internship program? And then I'll also just kind of tell us more about the opportunity in general.
Yeah, that's such a great question. So, Southwest really cares about diversity, equity, inclusion, and we want to make sure that we are an inclusive place here in really any of our roles here at Southwest. And that is something that I think Gen Z, right, the target audience of some of your podcasts here, probably going to relate to. Sometimes people are just looking to find belonging, within an environment. And Southwest really wants to make sure that we're able to equip not only our hiring managers, our recruiters, but also the candidates that come to us. So the Neurodiverse program is a really awesome program that my dear friend Dominique helped lift off here at Southwest. So with that being said, she's really crafted and really is a subject matter expert when it comes to this neurodiverse field and trying to figure out how can we better help individuals assimilate to this corporate environment. Now, I don't know about you, Andrew, but I am a small town country boy, right from Northwest Ohio. I never really thought I was going to work at a Fortune, 500 institution, let alone be a corporate employee. Um, that alone is a lot to deal with and try to figure out how do you navigate this environment. Now, if you think about it, if someone is neurodiverse, right, if they have, are an individual on the autism spectrum or something on that end, there's some other factors that might come into play. So maybe they need a little bit of help on how to communicate with their coworkers. Maybe they need a little bit of help on how to communicate with their leader. So the real cool part about this is we actually bring in a job coach that sort of helps that applicant and eventually becomes the intern sort of go through that process so they can sort of tell how they're feeling and say, hey, I think I need a little extra support here, or hey, I need a little extra support there. And it's sort of really nice on the flip side. The hiring manager, the leader of that intern, they get a job coach that actually understands all the different thoughts and feelings that a neurodiverse person may have.
Yeah, man. I think that coaching piece is important. I'm glad you guys are, realizing the need for that, and I love that it's for neurodiverse individuals. But to be honest, I think Gen Z, maybe even some millennials, and then maybe even beyond that, could use some, coaches as well. I think that was one of when I first started my very first job out of college. I was assigned, obviously I had a supervisor, but I was assigned a mentor who I would like talk to and sit with every week for sure, but sometimes every other day. And I mean, that's really where like a lot of the learnings happens in terms of understanding, okay, what the project is you're working on. But then even beyond that, I think there's like a jump or transition that happens when you go from college to corporate, right? You go from this environment where you're just purely around your peers, people walking on campus with PJs and hoodies all day long and flip-flops or whatever, to being in a purely corporate world where it's like, you got to go to different meetings, you book from beginning to end with things to do, and you got to work with people from all kinds of generations. So I say all that to say, like, I think the coaching piece is very important. And then, even beyond that, it's great to see that you guys are having an initiative in this space for neurodiverse individuals as well. So with that said, man, it sounds like you guys are really big into DEI and belonging and everything. I saw that you were like you graduated not that long ago yourself from, let me make sure I say it correctly, the Ohio State University. So tell me the story of how you even landed at Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, so I had a friend that was an intern, and he went to Ohio State too. A dear friend named Max Littman. He was actually an intern in the corporate communications department and did political communications. He's all into politics, sort of like I am on that end, and was able to, you know, check it out and really was like, hey, I know someone that really fits into this culture, really fits into essentially what I was studying. At Ohio State, I studied psychology and strategic communications. Originally, I thought I was going to go in the State Department. That was like my big goal is like training diplomats, how to speak to other diplomats and all that type of stuff. Um, Really, really ironic that I'm here at Southwest, right? Where you're like, all right, government, Southwest on that end. But no, I started off then, was in the poli sci department originally. I was like, hey, can I do this research, that? The political science department was like, that's too much psychology and too much relationships. So I was like, all right, you know what? They made a joke to go to the psych department. So I did. I went to the psych department. I said, hey, can I do this, research that I want to do about diplomatic relationships? And they're like, yeah. Well, I'm a big thinker and I'm like, all right, I'm starting way too far ahead. What I need to start thinking about other relationships. So I went back. I went to business relationships, still too far ahead. Went back to romantic relationships, still too far ahead. So essentially, I then started piecing my major together, right? Learning about acquaintances, learning about building friends and trust, relationship, maintenance, right? You're forming a relationship, you're trying to maintain it and prevent deterioration. So, to that being said, really what got to it is Tinder, Bumble, all these dating accounts came around, and I was like, all right, I'm going to start, being an expert in online dating. A lot of my classes and research were all about online dating, which I think is kind of funny because guess what? If I have all this training in the online dating world, I'm at the right airline, the Love airline, right? So I think that's kind of funny on that end. But eventually, I was applying to jobs on Tinder and everything like that, and I sort of found myself. Does a 65-year-old Ezequiel Herrera sound good at a Tinder? Is that the figurehead and face that we want? No. So then I started making the pivot into worker relationships. And that's how I sort of got here to Southwest. I started off my internship back in 2019. I was a network operation control employee engagement intern. Really, what that is, it is trying to figure out, hey, what do employees need? What do employees want? What do they crave? I would honestly sort of say that my internship was almost like Undercover Boss. If you've ever seen that show, I
Yeah,
would
that's a
go
good
in
one.
and I would sort of, yeah, yeah, I would go in as an intern and just chat with different employees. Had 75 different informational interviews, and I would actually create reports and improvements for the different directors under that department. Think about that. I don't know about y'all, but for me as a intern, and the typical like, you know, TV thing, you're doing copies, you're doing all that type of stuff. I don't know
Coffee,
what the yeah,
copies, that's it.
coffee, all that type of stuff. And I'm working on real life projects that are going to go to the vice president, that are going to go to these directors. I mean, I don't know about you, but that is something that I want to do. If I'm going to have an internship, I want to make sure I'm doing real life and real adult stuff.
Nice, man. No, that's good. And I think I I tell people all the time, like, especially if you're about to be a college graduate, like internships are mandatory. It just makes your life so much easier in terms of actually landing that job. I think you have a very unique story of how you went from pursuing, working at a dating app to now ending up at Southwest Airlines. That's pretty exciting and interesting in terms of like the roadmap you kind of had to figure out over time from like self discovery and figuring out interests and things. But I'm glad you landed where you're at, man. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good icebreaker to sort of say too.
Yeah, 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 man. That makes a good. I don't know, man. Like that's a good title too. I may change the title, but from Bumble employee to Southwest Airlines recruiter, but that probably won't be the title. But anyway, man, it's a good story. It's very unique, man. So that's good. And I know we were talking off camera too, man. You come from a like you told me you have aspirations of working like well and past retirement age. And I know you come from a long line of, blue collar, hardworking people. Kind of tell me a little bit about that and kind of, I guess, maybe the fulfillment that kind of comes with working now from coming from a blue collar background to now working more of a white collar role and kind of the impact and things you've been able to do there.
Yeah, I think that is like one of the most pinnacle things that I love about Southwest, right? The amount of hope and prosperity that honestly that you can get out of here. So my family is a blue collar family. My grandpa, he worked for Maytag. For those that are not really sure, that's like laundry machines, that's dishwashers and different things like that. So he made those. My grandma worked in a nursing home, and she also did some like housekeeping stuff when it comes to that. My mom has been in the culinary industry for a majority of her life, so working at different hotels and resorts. Her former husband at the time was a limestone worker, so working, getting those rocks and everything like that. Um, Really in that blue collar space. A family of immigrants as well. My grandparents came from Mexico on that end. So, for myself, being a first gen student, that's a whole nother, population of students that we can talk about, trying to navigate the college space and then getting into the corporate space. You're a parent, right, Andrew? So you have, ideas and the futuristic aspect of what your children are going to be. And I don't know what my parents thought, but here's the thing: if a majority of the people that you're around, you're typically going to be in that same type of field. And really getting to Ohio State, finding the mentor like Jay Casey that I have at Ohio State, and being able to have this opportunity and this awesome like custom tailoring type of advice, and essentially having my own board of directors, how to stay humble through that. I'm at a corporate institution now that I love with all my heart. My first day that I came to Southwest, we had one of the executives come, and they said something that really rang true to my heart. And I know that you said I'm young in my career, but I've tried a few other places. I went to Victoria's Secret's headquarters. I've tried some other places, so I
All
feel
right.
good and confident saying this. They said even if on their worst day at Southwest Airlines will still be better than their best day anywhere else. To me, that just gives shivers down my spine. That is exactly how I feel. That is something that I just cannot get over. I don't want to ever leave Southwest. When it comes to now, being able to fly around, being able to represent a brand, to me, it's opportunity. Southwest can change individuals' lives. I mean, if you think about it, we offer profit sharing. Not a lot of companies think about that, right?
Mm.
Anytime Southwest makes a profit, they give that profit back to their workers. For their 401k, they give 9.3% dollar per dollar match. I don't know about you, but eventually I want to retire and I want to make sure
Yeah.
that I have money and that the people behind me have money. My kids have money. To me, that's a type of liberty, a freedom to actually retire. That is the type of stuff that Southwest is going to be able to do. And here's the thing, you don't have to even just listen to my story. You're going to see a lot of other people that started off as a ramp agent and now are vice presidents of Southwest. That
Gotcha.
is crazy. And you're going to see multiple individuals having that. And that's what brings me joy. That's what gets me excited when I get to talk to you, when I get to go to universities and be like, hey, I know that some of y'all are first gen. I was too. I never thought I was going to even hit the 60,000 threshold, right? you know, or if I did, I saw the types of jobs, a lot of manual labor jobs that I didn't know if I really wanted to do, if you know what I'm saying, on that end. And now to be able to do this and get to talk about something that I think I'm so passionate about and be able to bring people into jobs that will not only change their lives, but really the generations down the road, that just really, really gets me going.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit on a lot of great points there, and I mean, even going back to you kind of mentioning the background of your family, it coming from limestone workers, people working at Maytag, and all that. You're right, and that's part of the motivation. You asked me earlier off camera, like the motivation for the podcast, and just getting people exposure to the diverse people that are out there that look like them. Was a big reason why I did want to start this. Just because I mean, sometimes there's that mental block, that mental barrier, like just kind of know what you see in your immediate circle is what's obtainable to you. It's like, yo, if you can meet some more engineers, whether it's in person or virtual, or more recruiters or whoever it may be, I just felt like, okay, hey, that can open something up mentally where it's like, okay, that's not a barrier anymore for them to have.
Can I tell you one of the proudest moments that I've ever had?
Yeah.
So I told you a little bit about my mom. She's been always working in the culinary industry. And here's the thing, I've tried to get my mom out of that. You get arthritis for flipping pans. You're standing on your feet a long day. It's hot
Mhm.
back there. I don't know if you've ever worked in the restaurant industry. Not fun. Not fun.
I
At
did
least for me.
McDonald's for 6 months, and I was like, this ain't for me. So no, I know what you mean, man.
So I'm like, hey, I will pay for your education. I will pay to get you realtor school. She always likes to do the Zillow and all that type of stuff. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, now she works at Southwest Airlines. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this, She found the job via TikTok, not Ezequiel Herrera. TikTok. She saw the
What?
job on TikTok. But here's the thing. This is what I'm so proud of. My mom, didn't know she really could do the college thing or do the realtor thing or whatever, but she saw the love that I had and how it changed my family, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm going to just try. She applied, and now I'm really, really incredibly proud to say that in May or in March, Southwest is going to fly out her and other top performers for her department. Think about that. Like, and for my mother, she just started this, she hit her year.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, within 1 year, and to see the excitement, to see the growth, to see the fact that she now can feel and say, look, I made it too. And to hear my grandparents be like, not only our grandson is doing it, but even our own daughter. And the fact that it almost like free flights, we get free flights, right? My grandparents live in Dallas, Texas. Now that I'm able to fly them out, my mom's able to fly them out. We get to see each other more. That's the type of stuff that you can do.
Man, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome. That's amazing that she got the job from a TikTok. So how did that work? Like she saw the posting online or what happened there?
Yeah, she saw she saw somebody on Southwest post a video and be like, "Hey, this is what this position does," and blah blah blah, and this and that, blah blah blah. I wish it was like a TikTok dance that they were doing or something that had like the things pop, but no. She saw that. She texted me, "Hey, I applied to a job," and I go, "Where at?" She goes, "Southwest." And I go, "What?" Sent me the TikTok. I looked at it. I'm like, "Okay."
Hey,
So I
that's
feel a
cool.
little bit embarrassed that I wasn't able to like, "Hey, ma, you should," you know. But hey,
No, man. I mean, look, she was ready to go. She was ready to find that next opportunity, and obviously, you guys are doing something right on the social media marketing side of it, to where it looked interesting to her. So, I mean, I'm glad that worked out. That's amazing, and then it sounds like she's doing a phenomenal job there. She's one of the top performers already in the first year. And man, I know you kind of hinted at it a couple of times. One of those benefits of working at Southwest is those free flights, man. What's and free flights, the 9% match on 401k. Sounds like it's a
and the
good
profit sharing.
in the profit sharing. Okay. Yeah, man, y'all got a nice setup. Y'all got a nice setup. So it's free. How
Yeah,
does that work? The free flights. Is it like free flights for you or free flights for you and your immediate family, like spouses and then kids, or how does that
yeah.
part kind of work?
Yeah, so that's one of the awesome perks on working for an airline. So if you are married, your spouse, or if you're not married, you have like a travel companion you can sort of designate. Your parents get free flights, and any of your kids get free flights. I don't know about you, but
Wow.
that is amazing. And the nice part about that too, there is a little bit, free flights. We have to put a little asterisk in it if there's space available. So if there's an empty seat on the flight, you're able to go up and go on there. And let me tell
Okay.
you, I've been able to travel just the country, whether it's San Francisco, Seattle,
Yeah.
Nashville, all of that. I mean, here's the thing: even our interns get those free flights too, right? For
What about
themselves.
international? Because I know y'all go to Mexico and some of the islands as well now, right?
Yeah,
So does that work too or no?
yeah. So for international travel, you still get the free flight. The only difference is you just have to pay the tax on
Okay.
international. Domestically,
Cool.
Shabbat Shalom, it's all free.
All right, cool, man. No, that's amazing. That's amazing, man. No, it sounds like a good company. And obviously, I mean, it's been a great experience for you. So I'm glad things are working out there. Let's talk a little bit about like the application process or what people can kind of expect, or maybe even a little bit about like how they can improve their chances of like landing the job. And I know there's like a few different questions I'll outline, but I guess let's talk about like step one, right? If somebody is maybe like recent college graduate or career pivoter, what would you kinda outline as, like, the best approach to hopefully landing a job at Southwest? So, like, step 1 would be, okay, hey, I don't know, campus recruiting fair or online portal, like, I guess walk us through that process.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple ways that people can sort of like look at this. The first thing that I think about that everyone should do when they're watching this podcast, go Google Southwest Careers, right? It's going to bring you to our careers page. There's going to be an events tab, and you can click career connections. We have a chance where you can do a webinar, meet recruiters, see what we're going to be posting in advance, ask them like questions about, Southwest, the benefits, all that type of stuff. You get to meet the actual sort of recruiter or even the hiring manager, learn about the departments and different things like that. So I think that is going to be something that's really unique and helpful that we do every single week for people to do. But when you're talking about the actual application process, here's the thing: you're going to do some research. So the first thing that I would say is go again back to that career site, look around, sort of see what things that might interest you, might not interest you. You're going to sort of see. We even have like a talent portal where you can click on there, upload your resume, give that to us. So our like sourcing staff and that we have that particular resume on there. I would sign up for daily emails. Here's the thing: if you don't get the emails or if you're not checking them every day, how are you going to know when a new job opens up? So sign up for the daily emails. Don't even look at the weekly or the monthly little box. I'll pick daily so you know every morning we give you different opportunities to go do. From there, it really comes down to the resume. and,
Gotcha.
and here's the thing: at the end of the day, how can you communicate it to a recruiter? Think about it. If I'm a recruiter and I've never met you, Andrew, you only have essentially one piece of paper to sort of communicate to me. What are your experiences? What are the things that you know? What are your skills? Where do you sort of see yourself on that end? But prior to that, the resume, there's sort of like a prerequisite, and that's reading the job description. I think that's where you need to spend the most of your time, is the job description. Because if you're reading through it, you're going to see press F. What is it? The command F, and then type in required. It's going to highlight everything
Okay.
required. Command F, put in preferred. What are all the preferred skills? Command F, what are all the plus skills? If you see required, require it to be on the resume, right? Make sure that you're saying that you have it. Tell us how you use it, because that's going to be, in your everyday. If you see a preferred or plus skill, if you don't have a preferred or plus skill, you don't have to have it. That's the nice thing. A lot of people, with other institutions, other organizations, they put required, but they don't really mean required. They might mean plus or preferred. When Southwest says required, it is required. The plus and preferred are nice to haves, but you don't necessarily need to have that, if that makes sense. So make sure you do that. Mirror that job description onto your resume. So look at it. Does it make sense? Does it make sense that you're applying to that, right? If they're saying that they're looking for Tableau experience and that's required, make sure you talk about, that analyst position at SMU that you had, and you were doing some Tableau dashboards or different things on that end. From there, after you get through the resume process, we're going to start looking at resumes, trying to figure out who to send to phone interviews or one-way interviews. That is really what it says. A phone interview is going to be like a 15, 20-minute conversation, going through your resume, sort of wondering, hey, why do you want to work for Southwest? What excites you about this role? Different things on that end. One-way interview is going to be a little bit different. So if you ever had one where you sort of recorded yourself, that's what's going to be a one-way interview on that end.
Okay.
Moving on from there, we're going to review it again. We're going to make our recommendations and move on people to that final interview. So after that, you do the final interview. You have me as a recruiter or one of my other lovely cohorts that's there, the hiring manager. We're going to do sort of like this interview questions, all that type of stuff. And then show up with questions, right? What is something that you want to learn? What is something, if somebody's been there for 40 years, and we have a lot of people who's been there at Southwest for 40 years, ask them a question about it, intrigue. And one little thing that I'm big on is sending a follow up, right? Whether that's connecting on LinkedIn and saying thank you, whether that's sending an email saying thank you, that sets people apart.
Nice. Man, no, you covered a lot, and I'm glad you did, because I think all of that is very valuable. I didn't even know you guys did like the weekly Tuesday webinars, and I think if I was looking at a job at Southwest, I think that's like mandatory in my mind because, like you said earlier, if you don't know me, my resume is the only thing that speaks for me. But y'all are providing an opportunity where people can meet the decision makers. And so, I mean, that's essentially
Absolutely.
what I'm trying to do here with the podcast as well. But it's like you guys are already doing that. And it's not just you, it's some of your colleagues as well, or maybe even the
Yeah.
hiring managers as well. So I think that's like not only, get to meet you guys, but actually learn more about, okay, hey, what are you actually looking for? And then what are the opportunities maybe coming down the pipeline, that I may need to be keep an eye out for. So I think that's like game changing for sure.
Yeah. And you really do find roles that you really never probably heard of, right? We have departments. I mean, most people don't know that we have our own meteorology team. Think about that. I don't know about
Nice.
you, but that's pretty cool. Like if you're taking
Yeah.
atmospheric sciences, if I was a meteorologist, I'm thinking I'm going to be on ABC 10. I don't think that I'm going to work at Southwest Airlines, but we have that. Or we have a department that just focuses on culture or different things like that. It's so cool.
That's cool, man. I like that. That's real good. So I think I appreciate you breaking that down. So do some research about, the webinar, the company, the opportunities. Make sure your resume is on point and that it speaks to the job application that you're applying to. On that part, do y'all do like just is everything kind of screened internally by recruiters, or do y'all have like a ATS or applicant tracking system that kind of like helps weed out stuff. 'Cause I know like a lot of these roles, man, you're getting hundreds, maybe thousands of people. Do you guys manually have to review those like yourself, or like do you have like an
Oh,
ATS
yeah.
system?
All resumes are reviewed by us.
Okay.
So Ezequiel Herrera is going to look at your resume. He's going to have, well, I don't know why I'm talking to myself, third person. I'm going to review all those applications. I'm going to look at them. I'm the one that is legitimately, I would put your resume on this big screen that I have. I would put the job description right here where you're at, and I'm just going to go look back and forth and try to figure out, hey, you have the skills that I'm looking for. I'm going to look for, the education component. So a majority of my role is the college internship space, as well as starting to get into that early career space. So for me, it's like, do you have the GPA requirement? Do you have the major? Depending on if it's a full-time role, let's say you're doing technology and they want Java, right? And you don't have
Mm,
Java and that's a requirement, it's very easy for us to sort of look back and forth on that end. Southwest is very high touch when it comes to our recruiters. We want to make sure that you are hearing from us. When you apply to Southwest, on the application, they're going to ask you questions. Let's say Tableau is required. If one of the questions say, hey, do you know or do you have Tableau experience? And you say no, then that's going to be sort of our screener when it comes to that. So that is really the only biggest screener when it comes to Southwest. Other than that, you're going to get in front of um, myself or one of my lovely cohorts in the talent acquisition department.
okay, great. Now I appreciate you letting us know that, because I know there's every company may be a little different. There's different rules of thoughts, and I know also from the candidate or the job seeker side, sometimes they just may be thinking, okay, hey, what are the keywords that I need to throw in here? And of course, you want to match, like you said earlier, the resume and the job description. But I know some people really focus on like, okay, keywords, and just I need to have as many keywords in here as possible, because there's going to be some computer or some ATS that's going to, looking for those keywords. And
And
if it's not there, kick it out.
well, this is what I always tell people. I always say at the end of the day, why not make your resume AI friendly? Because whether you see a person like myself or an AI system, there's tons and tons of free platforms that can help you out craft your AI and sort of see that. If you make it AI friendly and you apply to Southwest and you apply to a different place that might have AI that sort of looks at that, you're still covered on both ends.
Gotcha.
Think about that, right? So if you go onto like a Resi or if you go onto like a VMock or any of these other like platforms, you can upload your resume, put in the job description, and they'll do its own AI system. That could be a gift within itself, on that end. But it'll do its own resume review on that end. And again, at the end of the day, is AI perfect? No, right? But if you do something and put it in an AI system and it's sort of checking on there, it's going to be similar to a person on that end. Because if we're looking for Tableau, it's going to probably look for Tableau too.
Gotcha. Okay. No, man, I appreciate you outlining that. One more question. I know you said you primarily handle like the early career or the university recruiting. Is there any kind of just more like general tips or advice that you may have for people that are within that demographic? Maybe some
Yeah,
observations that you've made where it's like, hey, you guys are lacking this. Y'all really need to focus on this right here. Or, maybe on the
yeah,
opposite side where it's like you have really strong empathy or whatever you need to work on.
yeah.
So I guess general observations there.
So, what I will say on that end is I would probably say one, you're paying for career services, you might as well go, right? That is, I think, one of the most, like, if I could highlight that, star that, drop that in the podcast, like, description, that's what I'd probably say on that end, because you're paying for it. It's part of your tuition and fees. They are experts when it comes to this stuff, right? Um, it is going to help you out. I cannot tell you how many people I go to a career fair or I go and I talk to a person and they're telling me all this wonderful stuff. And then when I get to see their resume, when they submit it, the deadline's passed. I'm just like, where was this? Right. I normally say, hey, if you're going to do like your resume, give it to your mom, give it to your career advisor, give it to your coach, and give it to one of your ex lovers, right? everyone's going to have a different opinion when it comes to the resume, as well as they're going to be like, hey, Andrew, I mean, you didn't even put your podcast on here. You created something. It has this many viewers and you got this award and this and that. They're going to be able to point different things out. And think about this. All three of those people have three different, or I guess, I don't know why I said three when there's four right there. All four of these people have four different hats. They're going to be viewing you in a different light. They're going to be able to say, hey, you should do this. Hey, you should do that. And it's like the real world. Think about that. There's multiple recruiters everywhere. We don't all think the same. So I think that's going to help out one. So career services. The other thing that I would probably say is really make sure that they actually pay attention to that job description. The third thing is find classes. This is a beautiful one for individuals who have no experience whatsoever. So if you are a person, maybe you just haven't had the chance to get an internship, and you're really looking for some type of experience. Let's say you don't have an internship or a job, put your coursework on there, right? Especially if you have like a capstone project, or find classes that have capstone projects. For instance, let's say Ohio State University's business excellence class has a capstone project where you actually act as the consultant for Southwest Airlines. That is something that you're going to want to look for, because that's something that you can talk to, and talk about in an interview. You're able to say, hey, I was able to do this for Southwest. I actually got to meet with, Ezequiel and Gareth and blah, 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 blah. And this is the solution that we created for them. You're able to actually talk about work that you've done. You still got class credit for it, right? It was a class. It might have not been a traditional internship, but it's still experience, right? Same thing. Maybe you don't have actual experience in Tableau in the work realm, but if you have it in class and that's what you learned for 3 months, put it under coursework.
Gotcha. I like that, man. I think all those are really valuable pieces of advice. And I mean, not just for recent college grads, but even, career pivoters, like people that may feel like, hey, I'm coming from one completely different industry and they need to figure out, okay, how can I make sure I communicate those transferable skills, or maybe do some projects on my own until I get, industry experience that certain employers may view as relevant. So all great advice. And I honestly don't know why people don't like utilize career services more. I mean, like they got all kinds of stuff, resume reviews. They even do etiquette dinners. Like you talking about free meals
Yes.
where they teach you how to eat properly. You go to a fancy dinner, you want to be prepared, know which fork to
You
use.
get the free food.
The
Yeah.
free
And,
food
and
again, man. You talking about like 3 course meals, because it's like you gotta know how to eat the
yes,
salad. Where's the
you
salad
got to
fork?
figure
The
out the
soup,
fork, the knife.
all of that, man. They even taught me like, okay, let's say you eat something disgusting and you want to spit it out. How do you do that? And they're like, you gotta take the fork, put it in your mouth, and then put it back. I was like, that is. Let me get a napkin and just. But all of
Yeah.
that, man. I digress a little bit, but all of that is so important. I mean, it's like you're there. A lot of times they're underutilized. Take advantage of it, man. So I think that's great advice. Hey, real quick before we get into the resume reviews, I was looking at a couple of job descriptions. Um, I definitely see down towards the bottom we got
Yep.
comp and benefits. I noticed that like on every role that I looked at, you guys actually put the salary. Is that like company wide like policy to like disclose salary transparency and all that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that we want to make sure that we're providing like a concierge service, right? A concierge
Okay.
experience. At the end of the day, here's the thing. If Andrew, you wanted to apply for a job and I, get you through the resume process, you do the resume, you do the phone interview, you do this, and all this type of stuff. And then once you get the offer, you're like, I'm wasting your time, right?
Yeah.
And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we are transparent, right? That you get to sort of see those benefits. Andrew, if you wanted to look, again, what other company does this? I don't know a lot of companies that do this. What other company posts their actual insurance, right? From what deductibles you'll pay, how much it's going to cost for prescriptions, how much it's going to cost for life insurance and all that. You can look that up now. On Google it. I mean, that
That's a
is
good
the
point.
type of transparency that we are. So you're going to see that pay range. And I believe now, if you scroll down to the bottom, you actually see the end dates of when those applications come off the website.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I see that too. So no, I see both of what you just said. The careers.southwestair.com/benefits. So I mean, they kind of outline, I guess if you go there, see some of the benefits, and then even like the job posting end date. Um, and like the couple I looked at, the end dates are coming up soon. I know you were telling me that like you guys refresh jobs quite often. And so going
Yes.
back to your point earlier about signing up for like those daily newsletters or daily notifications, that just kind of emphasizes the importance there. But it looks good, man. I like that because I mean, to your point, I mean, that is one thing that I think everybody hates. Where it's like, do I even want to waste my time or spend my time, I should say, applying to this job? Not because you don't know how much it pays, and then you go through the process. You got to wait to the very end and really start having that negotiation. So I think it's good that you guys just transparency, be upfront with it, and I mean, I think it makes it easier for you guys to sell this honestly, or not sell it, but like to have people want to join because it's like, yeah, okay, I know exactly what I'm getting. I know exactly what skills. Like this one in particular is a solutions architect role. This looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and
Uh,
think about it. Think about it. What I
yeah,
love about Southwest is alignment. We're transparent when it comes to booking a flight. No bag fees, none of that. Why wouldn't we be transparent when it comes to recruiting people?
that's a good
It's
point.
alignment.
That's a good point.
So yeah.
That's a great point. Okay. Hey, so last question for you before we get into the resume review. What so you recruit primarily for what roles do you primarily recruit for just in case anybody wants to hit you up? I know you said university recruiting is probably your specialty, but is there any specific roles within there? So obviously if
Yeah.
this audience has a lot of tech background, should they kind of hit you up and be like, "Hey, Zeke, saw your podcast interview, want to know if we could chat or you could help a brother out? What do you recommend?"
Yeah, that's a great question. So I primarily recruit on the university space. So for our internships, it's been seeming like I do a lot of finance in our network operation control center, which is the internship that I've got to do. So really love those spaces. We do have recruiters that it just really depends on the year, right? So could I be helping and supporting tech? Yes. Are there other recruiters that do that too? Yes. Really, what I would say is we have internship info sessions. We'll have them in the fall. I can explain a little bit more about our internship since we haven't gotten into that if you want me to. But our internships, we post those applications in September and October. There's two really different internships. We have a spring internship, which is part-time and remote. So if you want to stay, in your college town, if you want to stay with your parents and not come to Dallas, that's totally fine. It's part-time remote. And then we have a full-time internship that's located in Dallas, Texas. But for all my technology folks, since I know this is what the podcast is really for, no matter what, whether it's a summer internship or a spring internship, it is remote. So that is the beautiful thing about our technology department. It's all remote. We'll still fly you in for orientation, and we have some fun and professional development and different things like that that I think are pretty cool. You can find all the information about our internships. Of course, they are paid, right? $22 per hour for our non-corporate roles and $30 per hour for our technology roles. You get the free flights and everything like that. You can find all that information on our Southwest Careers page under the Programs tab. And then the last thing that I'll say, again, on the technology space, maybe you're a senior wanting a full time job, but you don't know if you really, really want to go straight into full time, right? And you're like, hey, I really kind of wish there was like a cohort based system where I'm still learning, I'm still getting certificates, I'm still doing that. We actually have our direct college hire program. So that program is a cohort based class. We hire on that end. Same thing, cybersecurity, software engineering, that type of stuff. They'll be able to see that on the programs tab on southwest.com or
Cool.
on the careers.southwestair.com.
I got you. Yeah, and we'll put the link in the description so people can know where to find it easily and be ready, to take advantage of the opportunities there. But no, man, it sounds great. I appreciate even you already know in the spirit of transparency, sharing the salaries, the 34, the corporate, the $22 an hour for the non-corporate. So appreciate all that. And I mean, even the remote internships, things have changed. Like when I graduated college, never would have thought about remote opportunities even being available. They weren't available really. So I mean, it's
Mhm.
exciting to see that, even in an internship that you guys have those remote opportunities. So that's exciting to see and to hear. Cool, man. Well, I mean, I'll definitely be, pushing out any jobs that I kind of come across. Feel free to share anything with me that you think may be
Yeah,
interesting to the
absolutely.
community. I want to kind of put you through the ringer a little bit, put you on the spot, the hot seat, get some quick take resume reviews, get some feedback from you on those. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, cool. Let me pull these up real quick. Doing good, man. Not bad for a Ohio State grad, man.
Okay, okay.
Hey, I was gonna try to throw a couple jabs in there about, Michigan winning the championship, but I was like, nah. If you're looking for an entry level job that doesn't require any years of experience, check out noexperiencejob.io. This is a job board that spotlights entry level jobs that don't require any experience. The great thing about the job board is that you can filter jobs to only find remote or on site jobs. And then also, you can filter jobs based on the city, such as Houston, Detroit, Seattle, wherever you're at in North America. You can also filter jobs based on if it's a full time position, internship, or a contract role. While you're on the site, make sure you sign up for our weekly newsletter. We send out jobs each and every week that we think are very interesting or that may be appealing to you. My name is Andrew Baines, and I'm an engineer turned recruiter. My goal for 2024 is to help as many people possible land their dream job. If that sounds interesting, make sure you check out noexperiencejob.io. I got 6 resumes. I'm gonna give you like 30 to 60 seconds max to kind of scroll through and look at them. And then I'll kind of want your 60-second recap for each one. So like maybe 2 minutes total for each one. And really just try to get like really quick high level thoughts. Okay, hey, what stood out to you from a good positive perspective? And then okay, hey, what are some things they may need to work on? So go ahead and get started now.
You're able to scroll on this one. Okay. Okay.
Good. That was pretty quick. All right. So what do you think about this one? What are your, I guess, high level thoughts or what you may recommend?
Yeah. So myself, I love the summary. I'm a big fan. I know recruiters feel one way or another. Sort of how I review resumes. I look, make sure that the name is the same on the application. I go down, I see if there's a summary or not, and sort of see what they're looking for. Beautiful on that end. If you come on down a little bit, the education. Oh, sorry, scroll a little back. Yep, the education. I think that I would probably lead with that certificate first, the U cluster BOSI certificate for well, but then you have some. I'll say this: I'm not a tech recruiter, so I'm not sure if those first two are certifications or if they're just courses. So I'm not really sure if it's just
Yeah,
is
it
it a
looks
boot
like just a
camp? Is it just
course, especially for the first one.
and I think I would have to look into that more myself, trying to figure out how much knowledge is this, because there's a LinkedIn course that can be as close as an hour, or that course could be a whole course, a semester long. So I think,
Mhm.
for me, understanding where it says 2021, I would want to actually know from June to August, or is it just, does that make sense?
Yeah, just like, okay, hey, did you
Because
watch a 1 hour webinar or did you do like a 6 month course? Like, what's the
absolutely.
barrier? How like substantial is this? Basically, I got you.
Yes. So to me, that's a little bit of, I guess, a question mark on that end. I think the formatting's a little bit off. So there's a lot of like that empty space. I would take away those empty spaces when it comes to
Yeah.
that. The summary of experience, I don't know if I would probably get rid of all of that. So I would just get rid of all of that, because if you scroll down, they have professional experience, but it's more just listed out and nothing expanded upon on that end. So I would sort of ask, how how are you using that professional experience? Is it in that course? And if you're going to say it's in that course, tell me that course and say this is what I learned, if that makes sense. Put those bullet points underneath there. I understand that the Amazon, the Dunkin', the parcel service, or the temporary associate might not necessarily be relevant to the particular area, but there's still qualities that you might want to have, right? That,
Mhm.
it could be customer service or different things on that end. So I would probably say the formatting of this, to me, I'm a little bit confused on where they're getting some of the experience, and how and where they're actually doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm reading this as you were talking. I think maybe this summary of experience, maybe these are supposed to be these. It'd probably be better if these were like bullet points
Yep,
underneath
bullet
a,
points.
a single, like whether it was a project or a course or whatever. Because I
Yeah,
mean,
what it looks like to me, and you know, as we keep on scrolling, I think that summary of experience should fall underneath that project, and that project
yeah,
should probably fall underneath the course. So how I would probably do it is I would put where it says project coursework, put the
uh,
particular, this is what it is, this is the course, right? And then put the bullet points underneath that. Because to me, that flows and makes sense more. Where to me, looking at it this way, I'm a little lost.
yeah.
It's
No,
it.
that's a good
I'll
point.
say this. Normally, if I'm looking at a resume and I'm a little bit confused, that candidate didn't clearly explain themselves to me, if that makes sense. So it would
Yeah,
be even hard for me to explain that to a hiring manager.
yeah. Okay, good point. I'll close that one out and pull up the next one. Yeah, that's a great point you just made. I'm glad you said that because I mean, y'all don't really have time to be trying to go into too much deep thought, trying to
Yeah.
really figure out, okay, what are they trying to communicate? All right, let's go ahead and start the clock on this one.
Okay. 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 Beautiful. All right. So what I would say on this one, I'm assuming that just the top is just probably their name.
Yeah, just name and like
Okay.
yeah, just their name actually. They put it pretty
And
big.
one thing that's sort of similar to this one and the other one that I would say is if they have, I would recommend putting their LinkedIn somewhere, just in case if I don't have enough information. Occasionally, I will click that LinkedIn link to see if I can grab more information on that, if that makes sense.
Great point.
One of the things I like, again, the summary, I'm a big fan of that. I would probably say I would try to condense the summary just a little bit. I don't know if I would read through all of that. When it comes to that contact. Everyone has
Mhm.
a different style when it comes to how they want to do, you know, the templates or whatever. I don't know if I would do this template. The one thing that I say about these templates and the columns, I think they take away a lot of space and help push it into multiple pages. So I would probably just move that contact on up. The skills section, that's something that I really want to touch upon. I would stay away from this. I would not do it. I don't think it makes sense.
This format.
Yes. So sort of that bar. I like how they put excellent on there, but if they
Yeah.
didn't do that, that I wouldn't really know on that end. And I think right below skills, it says very good. Is their skills overall very good? It just
Mm,
doesn't make sense. I rather have them put, you know, a skills section and says, you know, soft skills, strong listening, conflict resolution, blah 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 on that end. Hard skills, you know, XTML or whatever it may be. But the bar graphs and all that, I personally would never do it because I don't think it actually communicates um, any of those competencies on that end.
okay.
When it comes to the bullets, can you scroll? Let's see here. One, two, three, four, five, six. Um, can you scroll up a little bit? Is that the first one? Okay,
Yeah,
that
that's the
is the first.
first one.
I mean, six is all right. It's the most recent. It's the most one that's up there. I typically try to say, you know, like four. You know, have four bullet points, maybe five bullet points on your most recent and your most relevant roles, and then as you get down, you know, further and further away of points that might not necessarily make as much sense to have on there, you can start getting away from all those bullet points. So, like all of those I wouldn't necessarily put on there if that makes sense. So I'd start trying to
Yeah.
down. And obviously, you know, these people are giving sort of their general resume. I would hope
Yeah.
that they, you know, tailor it to their specific job posting. One of the other things that I noticed about this is, you know, I'm glad that they did the bullet points, but I don't see a lot of numerics, or I see that they're like, you know, they
Yeah.
might say
Quantitative.
Yes, quantitative, increase this or help the budget, cut the budget, whatever it may be. If they can say, certain things on that end where they're actually able to be like, save the company X% or was able to increase whatever, generate, X amount of reports daily, whatever it may be, that sort of gives us a little bit more insights on that end. And then if you
Yeah.
scroll all the way down, I like that they have the University of Houston put the location, put the GPA. They can get rid of the main if they wanted to on that end. And then the affiliations on that end, is it a must? I don't necessarily think so on that end, unless if they're going to give me more context. If they're going to be like, let's say managing a budget is one of the roles that they need to do, right? And they don't have any management of a budget,
Mm,
the other bullet points. So that treasurer, they could be like, I was a treasurer of the African Christian Fellowship and I managed this thousands of dollars. And if they gave me more context on that, makes sense. But as is, I would take it off.
gotcha. Hey man, great stuff. I think all that was really great feedback. I like the idea of, making the resume a little different. Speaking to the last one in terms of like the format, but definitely see the downside of, for 3 places of employment, stretch it out to 2 full pages. So you gotta, weigh the risk versus the reward there. So
Yes.
but overall, good thoughts. I appreciate all that feedback. All right, let's jump into this one. This one is for a Linux systems engineering candidate.
Okay. Okay.
And so I think this individual had some experience. I think Benin, if I'm saying that right, is like West Africa, I guess, to America, and I think currently in New York. But
Okay.
any thoughts on this
Uh,
one?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing that I would probably say it's too long when it comes to just size wise. So my rule of thumb is I'll read up to the second page. Anything after, I won't. So that's just my rule of thumb. Different recruiters, I know recruiters, outside of Southwest that will only read up to the first page. I know some recruiters that will give you they will read the whole. It just really depends on that end. I think what stands out to me the most is probably the skills section for that end. Um, I so do you see how they do the soft skills, problem solving,
Yeah,
teamwork, adaptability? That's what they should do. It's going to shorten that down. Some of it, I don't know if it necessarily makes sense. The anatomy, the physiology, the medical terminology. If you're not necessarily wanting to be in the medical field, I mean, maybe
so I feel
Linux
you.
needs that, but
No,
I doubt
so
it on
yeah,
that end. So I would get rid of those, and I would sort of start condensing the rest of that, and trying to get it into, a hard skill, a soft skill, and that's going to really free up a lot of space when it comes to the professional time on that end.
nice.
Um, I like how they're consistent when it comes to the experience you have, debt collection agent, on that end, the location, January, and all that. The bullet points, let's see, one, two, three, four. Can you scroll down? Five. See, I'm not too upset about that. Especially, I think that's their most recent one. I normally say, you can have, your first two have a little bit more, and then you want to start tapering those down. Um, if things aren't necessarily, I think there's a common misconception that people think, every single job that they did, since their first job needs to be on their resume. Everything doesn't have to be on your resume. So if it's not necessarily relevant, or if it isn't sort of marking something that's going to be off that job description, I don't know if I would put that on there. And then can you scroll all the way down to what I would say is when it comes to that, the university is that I think the different universities or different things are underneath it. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, and I think
and
these last 2 are from
well,
a different country.
Yeah, and what I also will say, if you scroll all the way up to the top, one thing that stood out to me, which is a little bit of I'm curious about, is it says that they taught themselves Linux and Devo apps through a dedicated boot camp, but I have no clue what that boot camp is. Um, so, for instance, if they were applying to Southwest, we have a junior technology associate program where boot camps, we take in people with boot camps, but we're going to want to know what boot camp that is. So is that like a color path, a cloud stack? Is that, what is it? And then again, sort of back to the time frame. When did you did it, from when to when?
Hmm.
I think that's what I would lead with, right? If I was them, I would probably do the summary. You could do the skills, and then underneath that, you could do sort of like the education, or I would put education, and I would sort of leave on first that boot camp. What is that boot camp? Because that's most relevant to your particular um, job, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The nursing, you can put it on there. I mean, some of that, if you're going to apply to a technology job, I don't know if I really care about the nursing stuff. I would just put the boot camp and leave with the boot camp, save the space, tailor your resume to the job description, put bullet points that really make sense to that job description.
Yeah. Good points. All good points, man. I think, the main thing there is, you only have so long to leave an impression. So like put the most important stuff first.
Okay. So for this one, love that they have the LinkedIn. That's going to help me out. I love that they're, again, how I if anything, this one I really enjoy their professional summary and how they sort of spell it out for me, right? And then they hit me with the different, development, the GTM strategy, the operations. And if I was them, I would be doing those different types of skills that align with that job description. Beautiful on that end. Honestly, I think this is my favorite resume thus far.
Okay.
Love the professional development, love the global product manager and everything on that. Love that it's the March to present, shows the location, beautiful. Um, what I will say is I like that they talk about and they give me numbers and results on that end. Um,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the paragraph above it, I don't hate it. I wonder if that's a little bit more just in text or context on what this is.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it may
I'm
just be what you're saying.
because at first I thought maybe like some of this is like the job description versus what they put, but it looks like they created that. Um, I don't know. I like it. I still like it. I think the product sales manager under pioneered retail and online sales marketing, achieved that. I don't know. That one makes me not like it as much. I think I would
Maybe just
just.
make that a bullet
I
point,
think it's
maybe.
Yeah, I think I would just stick with bullet points, to be honest with you. If
Okay.
they give a little bit of context, or if it was something like just high level highlight, maybe like a 2 sentence like summary of whatever they wanted to try to get across, I think it makes sense. But I don't know. That to me just looks like a bullet point. But I think they were trying to make it a summary. Do you see what I'm trying to say on that end?
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
agree.
I feel conflicted on it on that end. But overall, I think spearheaded market. They tell me 2 billion valuation. I love all that. I love it. And wait, scroll back up. Okay, I want to make sure that they still have the dates and everything. That's beautiful. And you're seeing this too. Look at actually scroll back up. I want your viewers to see this. So I think on the first most relevant job, they had the most bullet points there. Beautiful. Look at
Yeah,
exactly the
four,
4-2-2 method,
two,
right? You
two.
put
Oh
four,
yeah,
two,
one,
two, and
one.
then that. Those one I this is how I view it. If you're going to put one bullet point on there, you might as well either put the two or just take off the one, right? On that
Okay.
end. Yeah, because it's so far back, I don't think you necessarily need it unless if you're really trying to get back into that consumer finance, or if it has something that you're really proud of and that you want to sort of speak to, you can try to figure something out. But I think you could get rid of those at the end.
Okay.
Key expertise. Ooh, I like that. I haven't seen that before. I like, again, the technical and the soft skills. That's a beautiful way to put it on there. And then their education, beautiful. Can you keep on scrolling? Accomplishments, okay. And how many pages we're at? Two. Okay, okay,
That's the second
okay.
one. I mean, I think
Um,
you did a great job for 2 pages.
I, hey, I would want to talk to this person.
Well, there you go. We can make that happen, man. Yeah, but no, I think a lot of good stuff to kind of take away from this one for sure. Um, I think he hit on like a lot of the key points that you kind of talked about, and so I think
Yeah,
he did a phenomenal job.
you
And I
you
think
said
the
you
way he
do
outlined those
resume of the week,
skills
right?
was that.
You said you do resume of the week, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, we're gonna. I'm gonna let you pick which one you think. I know that's probably the top one. Well, you already said that's the top one right now, but we'll see. We got two
uh,
more.
Columbus State. Interesting. Let's see here. Objective seeking.
Oh, let me scroll up so your picture's not in the way.
Okay. Um, okay. I would reword that objective statement. A lot of people use
Yeah,
AI. Might as well just go in and tell AI that you're trying to do an objective statement. I like that they're seeking, but sort of like that past one, they sort of tailored and showed the skills that are most important to that job description. So I'm going to say these are the skills that I'm bringing, right? And I recognize that Southwest or that Victoria's Secret or Ohio State or whatever wants these skills. Look at them. This is what I'm able to do.
gotcha.
Let's see, bachelor's of science, relevant coursework. Okay, technical skills. Okay. I would say on this particular section, I don't know if they necessarily need to go through essentially all coursework that they've ever done. If there's certain courses that they want to highlight, I think that makes sense. Maybe the courses that this coding project falls under, I think that would make a little bit more sense too. Just because I don't, it's a block of text. I don't know if we're going to get all the way down to that applied cryptology or
Yeah,
cryptography if we're going to be reading that. So if there's like three courses that you think is going to really be like good for the role, I would just put those three courses and highlight, those courses.
I like that.
Okay. Then you can. I would also probably remove that technical skills. I see what they're doing, but I would either put it up top or put it down at the bottom. The only thing that I'm kind of concerned on is if it gets lost in the blocks of text, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I think right now, sandwiched between coursework and coding project experience, it does kind of.
Because if you're skimming through it real fast, and then some people might not read all that coursework, they might just miss it.
Yeah,
Again, the coding project experience, I just care about where that experience is coming from. To me, what course is that? Is that a capstone? Is that multiple courses? Just more context on that end, because I think that would be easier to understand on that end.
gotcha.
Let's see, work experience. So consistency is going to be one of the things that I'll say. If you see that, so you see there's not a bullet point there on that end. Again, it's the most recent. You're going to have to come out strong on the most recent. Even if it's not something that is relevant to cybersecurity, you can still say there's customer service, there's following procedure, right? Security, right? Making sure, I don't know, things don't get damaged or people steal stuff or whatever it may be. There's
Mm-hmm.
different things that you can put on that make it a little bit more. I make it better on that end. The
Sure.
Columbus State Recreation Facility, I think that's fine. I don't know. I I would probably say the cleaned equipment and track, sold drinks. I would re, I would expand more, right? So cleaned equipment. Why are you doing that? For the safety and security and the cleanliness of everyone, right? Talking about COVID, there's better ways to sort of to do that on that
Yeah.
end. And if you don't know, I would sort of go to ChatGPT, go to a career office to help you on that. And then
Even to
another thing that I'll
train new
say,
hires, like that's. I would say
yeah,
that's probably the most important out of all of them. Move that to the top
yeah,
and expand on what you
move
did
back
or
to the
how you
top,
train them.
expand on it. How many people, all
Yeah.
that type of stuff. The consistency on the number of bullets, there's a lot of different. it just fluctuates. You had one, I think the last one had three, now it's two, two, two. Some of these roles I don't think that they need to put on there. I would get rid of membership and awards. Sort of, what I would say, I like the girls who code, fundamentals of all those different HTML, Python. I would put that skills section down at the bottom and put, all of that underneath there. Um, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and then she had, I guess, a little bit of a third section too.
Yeah.
But for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and stop this one. But I mean, I think some good advice overall. I mean, consistency, formatting. I would also say like brevity or being concise. 3 pages is
It's a
kind of,
lot.
yeah,
First thing that I see on here, the block. So that professional summary, love it. That it's there. I would shorten that down on that
yeah.
end. Can you scroll to the top?
So this
Um,
one, I think he kind of already he took the liberty of like taking out
okay.
name and contact info.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to pretend all of that's there. Beautiful. Technical competencies. I like how they put the technical competencies there, and I like how they broke that down. I think that's
Yeah,
totally fine
nice
on
and
that.
clean.
Certifications and education. I do like that. There's a lot under. I would honestly probably do the comp TIA. Just have one and probably put bullet points underneath it, just so it
Yeah,
frees.
there's
It's going
three
to
of
free
them
up.
right here.
Yeah, it's going to free up a
CompTIA,
lot more.
security plus network plus A plus. There you go. That's mine.
It'll free up a lot more space and make it a little bit easier to do on that end. I think, again, depending on, so if you go up Western Governor University, so that's something that I noticed. I would always put, if that is a degree that they achieved
Yeah,
and
that's a
seeked,
degree. That should be separate.
that I would probably put that still at that should be the top, in my opinion, should be the top. Put your certifications and other things, the comp next, Microsoft next, AWS. I'd honestly put AWS right below that Western Governor University, because a lot of people want AWS when it comes to that. The June 2024, it's always nice, I think, is you'd say, you started in 2020, now you do 2024. For us, when it comes to internships and different things like that, we're going to want a GPA when it comes to that.
Let me scroll down to experience real quick for you.
I'll just say on this end, I love that military service, right? They're
Yep.
leaders and trusted leaders, notable, 10 years of experience, all that type of stuff. They put the money. I would honestly love to hear how many people did they lead? What are some of those different things that they were able to do in their platoon or in their command, or different things on that end. You can go ahead and scroll down. Thank you to your service for whoever did this. Um, IT specialist. Yeah, I like this too.
Cool. Yeah, I like this one. I think it could be reformatted definitely to make it one page. I mean, just looking at how much this certification
Oh
is in
yeah,
education.
absolutely.
And then cutting this
Ab-
down, you got a lot of white space up
Absolutely.
here.
I love it.
But
I love it. I love it.
overall, man, good stuff. Real quick, final thought. Which one was your favorite one?
I my what, I forgot who it was, but the one that I said, they whoever already won resume of the week. And then a nice second. Here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of gold, so I'm a big fan of silver. So my second was the last one. Our veteran. So thank you for your service, and even though you got silver, I think is the best medal. You still have gold in all of our hearts.
All right, good stuff, man. Hey, well, Ezekiel, man, this has been a blast, a pleasure of mine having you on the show. I appreciate you sharing so much valuable insight about Southwest, opportunities that are available there, and then also taking time out to give people feedback on the resume. I think it was all very valuable stuff. So I really hope they take that feedback, and then others who are watching and help improve their resumes and chances of landing a job wherever that may be, whether it's Southwest or somewhere else. Um, Last minute closing thought: where can people find you? Any real quick announcement?
Yeah, you can find me on my LinkedIn. It's Ezequiel Herrera. You can always add me. I'm always posting. Andrew can tell you I always post a lot or reblog a lot of other people. And then please check us out again on Career Connections and our Southwest careers page. We would love to have you.
Cool, man. Perfect. Thanks again, Zeke, for coming on here. I'm
Thank you.
I'm looking
Appreciate
forward to
it.
seeing what comes out of Southwest. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next week. Peace.